I got a teapot. It is one I found. Okay, so there's a church just outside of my housing development, and they had a thrift sale.
Ooh, did you find any adventure games at the church?
I did find a cool graphic novel. Novel?
Novel?
A graphic novel. It's a new thing.
Wow.
I can't even think of what that would be a pun for, so forget that joke. Let's off ramp. I found a teapot.
I love it. You know what? I don't drink tea, but I love a teapot moment.
I've had a tea kettle for a long time to heat water on my stove, but I've never had a teapot. So now I put the leaves in the teapot and I pour the water in the teapot. And this is my new podcast ritual. I bring an empty cup and I bring a teapot full of already brewed tea and already sweetened. You can put sugar in the teapot.
You can.
And then,
all right. Well, did you bring enough for me? Did you bring me a glass with some leaves?
Yep. Here you go. Glug, glug, glug,
oh
glug,
God!
Glug,
I don't. I just said I don't like tea.
It's spilling all over your desk. Oh no! Ah! It's burning you. Everybody, welcome back to Save Your Game. I am your host, Matt Aucamp. With me, as always, is the scalded, the tea hating,
and scolded apparently.
This is Pushing Up Roses, everybody. Pushing Up Roses. Welcome to everybody.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to me.
Welcome to you, everybody. Welcome to you.
Here I am, world.
How's it going?
Good. I love your little teapot ritual. Maybe I should have a ritual.
What? You don't like tea, so it can't be that.
It's not tea. It's could be coffee, but it shouldn't be.
You love scones, so maybe
no. I gave them up.
Whoa. Okay,
I gave
won't
up
even
the
talk
scones.
about them. This is going to be a...
Listen,
okay.
Something happened to where they became too sweet. They didn't change. They never changed. They're the same scone that I always get. And one day I'm like, ooh, this tastes really extra sweet. But I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then I ordered them again and they were too sweet. Whoa. Again, they didn't change.
Scones didn't change. You changed.
I changed. It's so deep. So I guess what I'm looking for, my dear listeners, I need a new snack that isn't scones.
All right, let me pitch you one.
Sure.
Okay. All right, and this can be a ritual too. Bring a boiling cup of water.
Okay.
Over to your desk.
Uh-huh.
Sit it down next to you. Has to be absolutely as hot as it could possibly be. Even if you can put it in something that will keep it boiling, like on a Bunsen burner.
Yeah, let me just go set up my Bunsen burner real quick.
Then you have in your drawer next to you, in your computer desk drawer, you have a bunch of dry pasta. And what you do is you take one pasta at a time and you dip it in the water.
That's my ritual?
And then you eat the pasta like that, yeah.
So
like a spaghetti, and you end up having one little crunchy bit at the end, and the rest is nice and...
Because I can't put my fingers in it, so it's just got that one extra al dente part of the spaghetti.
Yeah, that's my pitch. Listeners, if you guys have a better one...
yeah, please. Please have a better one. But yeah, I'm looking for new snacks. Matt suggested one pasta part at a time. It doesn't have to not be sweet. I don't like pretzels.
I went to Lancaster this weekend, and I had some Amish-made soft pretzels. Ooh. And they were slathered in butter. They were fucking so good. Oh my God, I wish I was eating one right now.
Let me rephrase. I don't like crunchy pretzels. The one that come like the snacks that you get on an airplane. I like the soft ones.
Okay, I have an idea. How about you have a Bunsen burner with a boiling water next to your keyboard, just like next to you while you record.
It sounds safe.
And in your computer drawer, you keep a bunch of crunchy pretzels, and you dip them in boiling water.
And I boil them.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And then now they're soft.
Wow, thanks, Matt.
Roses, have you been playing anything lately?
Sure have.
Okay.
So I've been I played the entire Fields of Mistria update.
Holy shit.
Yep. So I think we talked about this. I did not start my game over. Which was tough. It was a little tough at first. I'm just like, oh no. Like I don't know what I'm doing. I don't remember where anything is, but I got readjusted pretty quickly. And I played through, I guess, the next 10 to 15 hours. There's some good updates. I'll put that out there. I did not play the previous update because it seemed like it was a little bare bones. So I waited. So I don't know exactly what's new and what's from the last update, but there's some secret characters.
Ooh.
There's a new way of getting around the town, which I think is really good. Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
So I have also been playing the Fields of Mistria update, and I started over. I started a brand new save, and
wild.
I didn't play the last update either. So I'm also just like, I don't know what's new.
Yeah.
I almost don't even know what was in the original because, again, I started over.
Right. The secret characters are definitely new.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about when you say secret characters, but I'm excited.
Yeah, and they opened up more mine levels. It's not finished, which is, dude, I go hard when there's like mines because I don't play farming sims for the farm. And I'll say this, Fields of Mistria, you don't have to put emphasis on farming. I think Stardew has more emphasis on farming. I think it's more important because you're trying to reach goals in the community center. There's a mechanic that kind of relies on your farming. But in Mistria, I don't really fuck with it. My goal is to do quests and make friends and romance people, which that's a very upsetting part of the update. There is still no romantic scenes.
You can get to 6, not 8.
You can get to 6, right? 6, and they're not very. I got to 6 with March, and I'm like, oh, cool, great. He taught me how to make a shield. So romantic.
I'm up to 4 with Saloon in this new game, and I think we're gonna be naked together soon.
Wow. Okay. All right. It's not gonna happen in 6. I'm just letting you know.
What?
It's not. There is no romance.
All right, I'm gonna download a mod.
You can just give Celine flowers, right? She's pretty easy.
She's easy. Yeah. I'm sorry, Celine. You're really easy.
Real easy. But yeah, there will be new romantic characters, new dateables that have previously not been mentioned. So I think that's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, and I do like some of the quests. But again, I like the mines the most. So I think I got up to level 80 now, and they're capped. So
interesting.
But you know what? That's okay. As soon as I got readjusted to it, I'm like, oh, this is so fun. Like it's so fun. Unfortunately, I did grind so hard in my last game that I'm rich. There's no challenge to earning money for me at this point. Which I don't know, maybe that's what I needed. Maybe I just need a fun game to not stress out about, you know?
I mean, I absolutely I don't have any problems with money in this game.
Yeah.
When I decide it's time to buy stuff, there's nothing that I'm like. Yeah. I'm not like, I can only get this and this until until whatever next season. It just you're always flush with it.
Yeah, that's not a big challenge at all. But I will say that some of the mines are pretty challenging and they're rewarding when you fulfill those. So yeah. Oh my God, you're gonna love this. Can I tell you something? Oh, you might have already. So are you aware of what's her name? The older woman with the pink hair that is Elsie. I think her name is Elsie. She's an older character.
I have trouble remembering any character's name.
Yeah, so do I. She has a new mechanic that will help you. I'm not going to say
Oh,
exact. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. We won't explain what it does, but gossip.
Yes, it's called gossip, and it is I think it's a very helpful mechanic. I think Mistria really learned a lot from Stardew in terms of what can make this game a little bit easier to play. not easier per se, but like less stressful, less frustrating,
Yeah.
So you're not reliant on guides, because these games do depend a lot on guides. I don't blame anybody. When I learned Stardew, I used a guide because they're very comprehensive.
Mistria almost feels like somebody played Stardew with a wish list next to them.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you can really tell what they wanted to improve on. And they're doing, and honestly, it's taking some very creative way. It's using creative ways to do that, and I appreciate that. I loved all the cool creative ways that these mechanics have been fixed up.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm also I'm enjoying it a lot.
It's so fun. It's so oh my god. The animals though are just they're so cute. Like, I thought the Stardew animals were cute, right?
Yeah.
But the mystery animals, they're the cutest. They're so adorable.
Cute. Yeah, and they play together. Like, you can get a seesaw for them to seesaw with each other. It's ridiculous. It almost feels like you could hear how cute the Mistria animals are and be like, that's too much. It's gonna look ridiculous. It's gonna be like saccharine.
Yeah.
It's not. It's great. It's really
great.
cute.
I have a capybara, and my capybara is so cute. And when it's a baby, it looks like a guinea pig, and it's so cute.
That's so cute. Capybaras are just giant guinea pigs.
Yeah, it's so adorable. I just love it.
So there's another game we've both been playing, and I know we can't have this full discussion yet, but I want to start.
Not yet. Yeah.
I want to start the discussion.
Okay.
And it's that you finished, and I'm 4 hours into Wanderstop.
Yes.
And I am really enjoying it so far, though I can only play it in short doses.
Oh, I binged it.
Yeah. What Wanderstop does is it presents you a game like... Okay, all right. So we've talked about this a little bit before when we talked about the demo. It is about a person who is experiencing burnout. They push themselves too hard to be a warrior, and now they can't even lift their sword, and they're stopping at a tea shop called Wanderstop until they can rest and recover. And the whole game is built around rest and relaxation. And the game does the same thing to you as a player, or at least attempts to, by doing things like not giving you any fail states, not giving you any true objectives. Any objective you have, I just did this, and I did it by accident, but I found it cool, is if somebody gives you an objective, you can walk up to them and say, I can't do that. And they'll say, okay, no problem. It also resets your progress.
Yes, yeah. Yep.
If you've found any rewards for the things you've done, they will be gone in a couple hours. And
which is a little sad, because like I found a mug I really liked and it was gone.
Me too. But then I found a bunch of more mugs I liked.
Yeah, I know.
And the achievements, you get achievements for certain things, but they appear randomly. You don't know what they are for. I have a feeling I know what they're linked to, but they will appear roughly, between 5 and 30 minutes after you do the thing. Yeah. So that your mind detaches it. They don't want you to feel any sense of compulsion to play it, any sense of addiction. And I think it's interesting, because it's interesting, especially when we're talking about games like Fields of Mistria, right? I was thinking about Wanderstop a lot while playing Mistria, because what Wanderstop doesn't do is it doesn't give you any sense of progression. Right. It doesn't in any way make the game easier to play.
Right.
And it made me start thinking about why we care about progression to begin with. What is so appealing? If I like a game, if I like, say, Mistria or Stardew so much, why is it? I don't have an answer to this. I don't even know if this is an answerable question. But why is it that I so desperately want the thing that allows me to stop doing the actions I've been doing so far?
Yeah, it is interesting. I'll make a point to say that I have OCD and I would love a stopping point. I think it is important to have
Mm-hmm.
something where you've progressed and then it stops and you have an outcome, because otherwise what the fuck are we doing?
Right.
That's the main thing in life, right? Is looking for a point. But you're right. You're right in that this is a very interesting game because it doesn't give you strict limitations. It's really going for that vibe of like, do what you can, do what you can, and no rush, no schedule here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what an interesting mechanic. And the magic of Wanderstop is not just, it does deal with like burnout. It talks about burnout. But what I think is even more wonderful is it talks about changing paths. And I think changing paths at a pivotal point in your life too. And we'll talk more in depth about this when we do maybe a full deep dive. But I think that is a very special thing to talk
Right.
about. And I really highly related to the introduction to the game and the
Right.
feelings of burnout and changing paths. And my birthday's coming up and I'm getting older, and I just started doing ceramics, and it reminded me of something you told me, Matt. You told me about this woman that lived to be like 120,
Mm-hmm.
and they asked if she could do something differently. What would she do? And she said, I would take up violin at 90.
Yeah.
So that for the last 30 years, I'd be an excellent violin player. I'm like, that's so, are you okay?
Yeah. The lid of my teapot fell onto my teacup.
But nothing broke, right?
Everything's fine. Everything's
Okay,
fine. I'm still learning. I'm still learning this teapot.
Still getting familiar with this
Getting my teapot skills down.
But yeah, I just think that's
until I get the teapot upgrade where I press the button and a robotic hand comes out and grabs my teapot and pours the tea for me.
Yeah, exactly. Or like AI comes out. I don't know how that would work. It's an AI teapot. But yeah, no, I think it's very special. I think it has a really good point.
The game tells you several points. Like, if you're not enjoying this, don't do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's like when the game first resets, that's what your pal Boro, that's what Boro says to you. He's like, is something only beautiful because it stays? Can something be beautiful temporarily? And he says, if you aren't enjoying the process of doing these things, if you're only doing them so that they like collect, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it, right? If you're not enjoying the game, if you're not enjoying the moment to moment of the game, then why are you playing it? And it's really talking about, it's less talking about games and more talking about life.
Yeah.
But what it is saying about gaming is also very interesting.
Yeah. And it's also, it also brings up the topic of productivity. Why do we only feel productive when we're overworking ourselves? So you go from being a warrior to, managing a tea shop. You're making tea and your character doesn't find that productive. But why? When it is productive, when you are doing something, even if it's, less stressful than obviously fighting. And because it is tea management, you're bringing tea to certain characters too. And that's also productive because you are, servicing someone. So I think I really like that. I've never seen a game in a management sim try to make these points,
Absolutely. And I think the other thing I've never seen any game do, not just a sim game, you don't see the end of every story.
That's true. Yes, that's true. That is true.
There are many characters who have a story. You catch them in the middle of their story, then they leave, and you never see them again. You don't get to see how it turns out.
Yeah.
Because because
things change. Yeah.
Yeah, it's making a broader point about life, right? Like, you don't get to see every ending. And what you're saying, Rose, is why is it only productive if you get why do you only feel productive if you get to the end?
Right.
Why is it not productive just to experience something?
And why does productivity have to be insanely hard? You know what I mean? Like the character, she goes on to say that she's worked her ass off to be a good warrior. She trained forever and she had her sword made in a specific way. And I think we as a society, we equate productivity to how hard we are working instead of how smart we're working, Yeah, it's really interesting. There's a character, and it's also got a good sense of humor about it. It's silly. It made me giggle a couple times. There's this crotchety woman. I don't know if you've met her yet. So I guess
Shopkeeper? No.
She has a shop outside.
Yes.
Oh, you have met her?
Yes.
I love that character. She cracks me up.
She thinks that she's in a competition with you, and you're kind of like, for what? She's like, it's a competition. And it's so, again, it's making this broader point about like, these are the sort of mechanics these are the sort of things that motivate people, but why? And aren't they also kind of absurd? And also, this is the sort of thing that games use to motivate you. And why?
Yeah. It's great. I mean, I highly recommend it. I will bring up some cons when you have finished it and when we do our deep dive.
Sure. Yeah. Or maybe our deep dive. Maybe this will be the first deep dive we do in pieces. Little bits and beginnings of that. But okay. So that's Wanderstop. I think it's also the last thing I'll say is the soundtrack has become an all-timer for me. Like instantly.
It's great. Yeah. It's lovely.
I immediately added it to a Spotify playlist with like the soundtracks to Outer Wilds and Citizen Sleeper as like, this is what I listen to when I'm writing or when I'm doing homework or whatever. It's an incredible soundtrack.
It's given me some calm Final Fantasy music vibes, which I'm all about. I was just like, oh, this is making me feel a certain type of way. I like it.
The composer is, I think, the composer for Minecraft.
Wow,
this is another thing, and this is a thing that maybe we should talk about later when I finish the game, is it's interesting the people that are making this point.
Yeah.
Because these are the Stanley Parable guys.
Yeah. I mean, that explains why it's got a good sense of humor about it.
This is the Stanley Parable team, and it is also it is the composer of Minecraft music. So these are incredibly successful game developers. Yeah. And there's always something about like, I always feel a little weird when the people that give you these kinds of messages, like don't burn yourself out, don't work too hard, make sure you're stopping to enjoy life, success shouldn't always be the goal. When I'm getting those sort of lessons, those lectures from people who are already very successful.
Yeah, sure.
And it's like, okay, easy for you to say, bro.
Sure. Absolutely. I totally get that.
But I think these are still important things, and I think it is an interesting game, and also very funny, very sweet, very pretty.
Yeah, very beautiful game. Yep. Okay.
So what are we here for today, Roses? What are we even friggin' doing?
Tea. No, we're not here for tea.
I'm here for tea.
Unless you have some tea to share with me if you want.
Yeah, hold on. Glug, glug, glug,
no,
glug,
no,
glug,
not
glug,
that.
glug.
No, not. No!
Oh, no!
We are going to be answering some questions. Oh, my God. It's been a hot minute.
Oh, man. A while since we've done a Q&A.
Wild. Yeah.
It's been a while since we've done a Q&A.
We're good at this.
What are we doing? Okay, yeah. Why don't we play some Sunky Pankarino? Huh?
Oh, wow. That's
and we'll be
exotic sounding.
We'll be right back with questions.
Okay.
Hey, Roses, welcome back.
Hi, thank you.
And listeners, too. You're also welcome back. You don't have to leave or anything. Hey, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
And it's from a dude named Steve.
Wait, you have a question for me, but it's from someone else?
Yeah, Steve is speaking through me.
Wow. Whoa, wow, cool.
And he asks, do you have an adventure game that you remember fondly from your childhood, but when you replay it as an adult, it's, he says, ... let's say ... less than ideal?
You're saying bad.
Yeah, his example is Amazon the Explorer's Legacy, which he remembers from his childhood fondly, but now that
didn't hold up.
Playing it as an adult, he's like, so great.
Oh, so many. So yeah, many, Steven. One that Matt and I just talked about off air is the Hugo trilogy games. Hugo's House of Horrors, Jungle of Doom, and the Whodunit. I really did like those games when I was young, but upon replaying them, you see why there were so many better games out there.
What was going on with those fucking games?
I do love that. I do love them so much. The quality is terrible. The puzzles are very bad. But I can't help it. And it's nostalgia based for sure, but not when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I'm just like, oh yeah, these remind me of King's Quest and Space Quest, and I love all those, so I love this too. And I think a lot of people's first experiences were with those lesser games like Hugo and some of the other, knockoff adventure games.
Well, are there games, though? Is there a game that you played as a kid and loved and tried to play it as an adult and were just like, this sucks. I can't even play it.
One did come to mind. This might be an unfair answer. I'm not sure. But when I was an edgy teenager, I loved my N64 and I loved Conker's Bad Fur Day. And in that game, there is a GoldenEye-esque split screen. What would you call that? It's not a death royale because I don't know if you're killing anybody, but there is a multiplayer part of that game. It is unplayable today. The graphics are terrible. The controls are I have no clue how I managed to play it and like it as a kid. It is not playable. And I think, I think a lot of those kind of N64 games are kind of like that.
Yeah.
You remember the graphics being amazing and the mechanics being so easy to play. And you bring it up again and you're like, oh, I don't know what's going on. I can't even figure out what's on the screen.
Yeah, I feel that way about a lot of platforming games. I bought the Spyro collection on Switch a couple years ago, and it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Same with try to play Crash Bandicoot. I think the biggest one though is Sonic the Hedgehog.
I still love Sonic. It's one of my faves.
I just can't play Sonic, and I think I was never able to put my finger on it till I heard somebody else describe the problem with Sonic, which is it is asking you to do two opposite things at all times. It is asking you to go as fast as you can. That's the whole thing. Sonic is so fast.
Yep.
And in this game, you can run so fast. But you can't because you got to keep stopping to collect stuff and to find secrets and to fight guys. The game doesn't actually want you to go as fast as it's alleging. It wants you to stop and
collect rings and go to the bonus levels. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and engage in all of its challenges. And that's the two do not connect. It's very frustrating, I think, now to play Sonic and just ask yourself what does this game want from me?
I play it now I'm speed running it. I do that with a lot of the games I played on the Genesis. I just go as fast as I can.
Yeah.
And I don't do the bonus levels anymore, which
Yeah.
is infuriating because that's part of the goal, right?
Mhm.
Is to get these bonus levels so you can be like Super Saiyan Sonic or whatever, the gold Sonic.
Yeah.
I still love Sonic, but I understand. I understand why the magic might be lost as an adult.
And I didn't understand that as a kid either. I like knew something felt off about Sonic.
Yeah.
Like, I knew something felt frustrating about it, but I still would have said to anybody, like, I love Sonic the Hedgehog. And then playing it as an adult, it's like, oh man, of course, this game was just driving me crazy the entire time.
Yeah. No, I totally understand.
Yeah.
No, those are my answers. Is Hugo and specifically Conker's Bad Fur Day. I think I have. I mean, I'm not really the demographic for that game anymore. So,
Yeah.
I liked it as a teen, and now I'm just like, okay, well, there's a character that is just a turd singing to me.
What?
That's just wonderful.
That's real? That's in the game?
Yeah. The Great Mighty Pooh, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Yep,
I don't know if I want to play Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Oh, we're playing it. That's what we're doing for my birthday. I thought you knew.
I thought we were playing Myst. Okay. Do you want to read the next email?
Yes. So this next email is from Tyler. Hi, Tyler. So they were kind of their question was inspired by the episode where we were talking about dialogue trees and narrations and skipping, not skipping. They would like to know, as a casual writer hoping to start a novel, what do you think captures the ideal conversational descriptive text in games you've played? That's tough. I think that's really tough because this is going to be a very subjective answer, right? But yeah, they were talking about feeling guilt, by skipping through the dialogue to try to get it through faster. What makes harmony for you in descriptive text or dialogue trees?
Good. I mean, that's a very, very good question. I think my first instinct is to say naturalistic, but that has its limits, right?
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of games that have very naturalistic dialogue that bounces back and forth way too much. Like, they try too hard to make it naturalistic, and you're just clicking. So I think what makes good dialogue is a combination of the two. And I think this, I've also been thinking about this because I read a lot of comic books. And I've been reading my way through the X-Men. I've mentioned that on this podcast before. And hey, go check out Mutant Menace, new podcast by me and Pat Reber.
What a cute name.
I think the trailer should be out this week. Probably.
I'll be on your podcast. Thanks for asking. I know so much about X-Men.
But I mean, like, Chris Claremont is this guy who absolutely overwrites, but he wrote the best run of X-Men at the same time. And the question is, like, why is this so good and so bad in equal measure? And so I've been thinking about this a lot. And I think, like, there is a combination. And I can't answer about Chris Claremont, by the way, but sure. I can answer my feeling about dialogue is it has to be both naturalistic and pithy. Like, okay, smart people speaking as clever as the most clever person you know and the most, like, concise person you know, and the dumb people are speaking in like you want character to come through, but in as few lines as possible, to be honest.
Yeah. I always liked more terse. Yeah. I mean, even if we're looking at something like Grim Fandango, even though there is a lot of narration, there's a lot of dialogue tree options, which I think is very funny, to be given options to be able to respond the way that you feel the character should respond. Yeah. They are terse responses. Even in Curse of Monkey Island, you can respond as Guybrush in so many ways, but they're pretty terse answers, Like when you're talking to Murray, you can be like, "Can I call you Bob?" And that's a very terse, answer. You can't really do that in a novel. Obviously, you can't just be like, pick which dialogue you think. The case. So it is quite different in that respect. But I think, personally, I think the more terse it is, I like it. Maybe not terse, but concise. I really like concise writing.
I was replaying actually the other day Dreams in the Witch House, as if we didn't play that through enough.
Oh my god, I can't even do it again, for real.
Yeah. So I was replaying Dreams in the Witch House, and there is a game where the dialogue isn't too naturalistic, but it is very brief. It is quick. It is to the point. And I think that's, to the point and revealing, right? In a novel, I don't mean to give this guy fiction writing advice or this person fiction writing advice, because what they're specifically asking about is how we feel about it in games. But I'm going to anyway. In a novel, same as in a movie, and this is a little bit different in games, but you want every line of dialogue to either advance the story or advance our depth of understanding about the character. And ideally, every line of dialogue should do both. Guybrush Threepwood's a great example. Anytime he talks, you either are learning something new about Guybrush Threepwood, or you are learning something about Guybrush Threepwood and advancing the story.
Yeah.
He speaks as himself at all times. So even if he's not saying like, I was born, and that makes horrible dialogue. Have you watched any of the what's that guy's name? He did Haunting of Hill House for Netflix, and he did that vampire show for Netflix.
I have to Google it, but I guess I do. I do know.
Haunting of Bly Manor. Yeah, I can't remember his name offhand.
I liked Mike Flanagan.
Mike Flanagan. Okay.
Yeah, by the way, I loved Bly Manor. I thought it was terrifying.
I loved Haunting of Hill House. I thought that was terrifying. Bly Manor was intriguing to me, but not terrifying in my
You're right. Haunting of Hill House was now that I'm thinking about it, it was pretty fucking scary.
It was so scary. I had the one time that I ever had sleep paralysis. It was very brief. But it was because I fell asleep thinking about that show.
The show, yeah.
The problem with Mike Flanagan dialogue is he puts it all in words.
Mm-hmm.
This has grown to become his style, is these long monologues. But nobody talks like that, right?
Right.
So in order to reveal something about a character, he doesn't just give them some sort of dialogue quirk where it's like, oh, they speak hesitantly, so you know they're nervous. He has them sit down and go, when I was a kid, my mom, and you should have met my mom. She was a great woman. My mom.
What are you, Columbo? You gotta meet my wife.
The one thing that she always did was she always used to tell me, whatever. You'll just go on this long thing to just tell you this guy's anxious, right?
Yeah.
All you need to do is have the person hesitate when they're going to speak. Okay, no, they're anxious. I know that they're anxious about stuff.
Yeah, but why show when we could explain it and tell it, as they say?
So I don't know. This is a very, very hard question to answer. Do you have any other insights?
I think my biggest insight is I am prone to enjoying dialogue if I truly get a sense of who the character is.
Mm-hmm.
Monkey Island 1 does that immediately. It sets the tone immediately. When you are Guybrush, I want to be a mighty pirate. You're talking to the lookout. So now I will listen to literally anything that Guybrush says. I feel that way about Grim Fandango. These are fully realized characters with stories and backgrounds, and they're intriguing and you're curious about them. And so, I know it's probably cliche to say, I did take a fiction writing course. I majored in fiction writing for a little while. And we did exercises where we started from nothing and then had a fully realized character. What is their motivation? And again, that sounds trite, like, oh, it's my motivation here. But it's true. But yeah, like I said, if you haven't played the Monkey Island games, it might be worth looking back at the dialogue and seeing how that progresses. They're very well written.
I think Guybrush Threepwood is the best example in all of adventure games of a character whose dialogue is just perfectly written, even where a different writer is writing him.
Yeah. I thought that's a testament to the character. We have fully realized this character to where we know who he is.
Yeah.
That's important.
All right, how about this one from David? David asks, have you ever had a prized artistic property that was featured in the game, and did that reference or depiction live up to your expectations, or would you prefer it did better? So they're talking about what Wagner's Ring Cycle being used in an adventure game called Ring.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, like, is there something that you, before there was a game about it, you already loved this property, and they made a game, and how did you feel about it?
Interestingly, I have a little bit of a soft spot for franchised games. I think this kind of ties into what we're talking about here. A lot of them are cash grabs. A lot of them are kind of terrible. And I'm trying to think of one that's actually good. And you know what? Oh, you know what it is? Mm-hmm. It's Discworld. That is a beloved, prized property that Terry Pratchett was asked permission to do. Long story short, Terry Pratchett wasn't very interested in putting his property into video gaming form. However, when the devs for Discworld approached him, he actually liked their idea so much that he said, yes, I will do it as long as I'm consulting on it. Okay. So not only is this a very accurate franchise game that is having like a prized property, the author himself is involved, which I think is pretty rare. I also want to point out, and I should say that my expectations for Discworld were low when I played it as a kid. They are far and above and beyond expectations. Okay. That is a Discworld property in my mind. It is super amazing. Accurate. They treated it very well. And I want to point the finger at Callahan's Crosstime Saloon as well.
Okay.
They actually use a lot of properties in that game. They use a lot of music and obviously characters and settings from Spider Robinson, who wrote the Callahan's books. It is its own like story. So it is, it isn't an adaptation, but it's also its own thing. That game does not get enough anything. It does not get enough credit. It is a very funny game. If you want games that do have long dialogue, just segueing a little bit back to our last question, that game does it very well. It's a little wordy. But yeah, there's a few artistic properties that were featured in Callahan's that I can't, like, I'm a little bit blanking, but I do recall it being great. And yeah, I would say a lot of franchise games kind of do that, but most of them are junk. Yeah. But these two games, they take the source material and they expand on it, and it's just great.
That's awesome. I, as a comic book dude, have no shortage of games in this ilk, right? Mm-hmm. And some of them are incredible, and some of them are horrible. Yeah. The Batman Arkham games are really, really good depictions of Batman, and they're fun games. And the Spider-Man, who makes those games? Insomniac, I think.
Does it Insomniac really?
Yeah, the Insomniac Spider-Man games are incredibly, incredibly good, and they feel like good Spider-Man stories. The best comic book game that I've probably ever played, I've talked about it on the show, is Marvel Midnight Suns.
Oh, I was going to say The Mask, the adventure game from the 1990s, clearly.
No, that's number 2.
Oh, cool.
Marvel Midnight Suns is really, really incredible. And hey, speaking of good dialogue, that is a game with really, really great dialogue and really great characterizations, really great character moments. I really loved that game. But there's if I'm stepping outside of comic books,
Mm-hmm.
because comic books that's kind of not fair.
Sure.
I would say there's a bunch of games that were based around and not directly retelling, but sort of based around the story Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. It's a book I really, really love. It's basically about a monk and his new like ward who arrive at a monastery where a series of murders is taking place, and the monk is trying to solve the murders. There are several games based around this, and the best adaptation is a game called the Abbey of Crime, which is like a very old.
You have talked about this before briefly, but you have.
Yeah, it's a game called La Abbey del Crime. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it in its own in its own accent. But it was by Operasoft, and it was made back in 1987 for I don't even know what.
Wow, this looks so interesting.
The ZX Spectrum, the MSX, and MS-DOS. Yeah, and it's a very frustrating game to play. The maps are really hard to follow, but that almost adds to the confusion that maybe you're supposed to feel attached to the story. But I definitely got. I think for the technology of the time, it was a really great adaptation.
It's isometric. Top down isometric, baby.
You can play it for free. You can play a remake of it for free.
Oh, wow.
On Steam. It's called Abbey of Crime Extensum.
Is the remake less frustrating?
No.
Oh, okay. No.
But I think it really captures the spirit of the book. And another adaptation of that same book is called The Abbey. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it is by Crimson Cow. It was released in 2008. It's like one of those semi 3D adventure games from the dark period of adventure games, and it's horrible.
Is it also called Murder in the Abbey?
Is it also called Murder in the Abbey? It could be.
I think we're looking at yes, it was inspired by Del Crimin.
Yes, it's also called Murder in the Abbey. It's got kind of like a cartoony style, like a cross between Broken Sword and Runaway.
Yeah.
And it's really bad. It's really bad. They probably shouldn't have even made it.
Have you seen or played the Daria adventure game or the Wayne's World adventure game?
I've played a little bit of the Daria adventure game, and I was like, this is terrible. I don't know that I can actually play this.
Yeah, it was one of the first adventure game video reviews that I did. It barely ran, and talk about that's a disappointing one. I'm a very big Daria fan, and I feel like they could have done something with it, but they just totally dropped the ball. I do have a question for you about artistic property that shows up, kind of almost more in line with his email. Do you remember, I think in Dreams in the Witch House, was it Sir Arthur Conan Doyle? Is he the one that... It
wasn't Dreams in the Witch House. It was an English Haunting.
English Haunting.
And suddenly you get to play as Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
That's something where I'm like, what?
Yeah, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. That's something where obviously they're bringing in another artistic property, and I don't know if it worked.
Yeah, I can't think of many. I mean, I'm sure there's so many. Look, I am very literate. I'm sure I get plenty of references in the games I play.
Yeah, that's very smart.
No, there's games where a reference to a piece of culture just pops up there's so many. I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Oh yeah. There's so many. I mean, LucasArts did it all the time because LucasArts. So you play any of the old games and there's going to be a Star Wars reference. It's going to be in there, you know?
Yeah. I know there's cool stuff like that in all the Broken Sword games too, but it's more like references to pieces of history that aren't well known.
Yeah.
Esoteric bits of history. And like that's always super fun. And the Gabriel Knight games do that really, really well.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I want to replay that. It's been a minute since I played a Gabriel Knight game, so I kind of want to. I want to play Beast Within. Oh my god, let's do Beast Within.
Let's do Beast Within sometime in April.
Okay, it's super gay and I love it.
It's very gay.
It really is.
It's really good.
Werewolves, which may be inherently gay. I don't know.
What's gayer, werewolves or vampires?
Oh man. I will let the listeners answer that.
I think vampires are aggressively bisexual.
I think they are too. And they're super dramatic. They're dramatic bisexuals.
Yeah. Being a vampire is about as bisexual a thing as you could possibly be. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay. Want to read the next email?
Sure. This is from Katie.
Hey, Katie.
Growing up, I didn't play many adventure games, but my household was and still are huge Carmen Sandiego fans. With a new Carmen game being released this year, oh my god, I'm so excited. I would love to hear your favorite games from the franchise. And what would be your perfect Carmen Sandiego game? I have answers to this because I loved those games when I was young.
I'm going to sit back and let you answer because I don't know if I have answers.
Okay. Matt doesn't have any answers.
I remember playing Carmen Sandiego as a kid. I don't have very strong memories of each piece of it. I know if I'm playing a Carmen Sandiego game, I want to do research. I want to look at maps. Sure. I want to make deductions. I want to get quizzed on history. And I don't want to just like play a story. Like I don't want to like be Carmen Sandiego walking around and solving a mystery or whatever. So all that said, I want to hear the rest of this answer is all you.
Okay, yay. All right. So like many people, I started on the original DOS version of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. We had it in a classroom, and I think it was like our 4th grade classroom had a computer, and I was the only one who knew how to run DOS. So I often got the computer or I had to set it up for someone else. And I did like that game, but then I found Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego, which is also for DOS. That game has a vibe to it, man. It is one of the hardest games I've ever played because Where in Time is a different concept than like cities and geographic location. They're saying, you know, the Civil War happened at this time. Go to that time. And as a kid, I'm like, what? I don't have the education for this. I don't know. But that game had such a cool vibe. I remember booting it up and just loving, there was an elevator in the game and you can go to certain floors. So you can go to the personnel floor or you can go get coffee at the cafe before starting. But so I thought that was a really cool vibe. I really liked it. Very detective. But my favorite is Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego CD-ROM. I have a video on it where I'm gushing. It was so cool. I got it for my birthday from my Aunt Carol. We love Aunt Carol over here at the Save Your Game podcast. She's a bonus character in this podcast.
Aunt Carol.
She got me this game for my birthday. It was so good. Just the way you're set up as a detective following Carmen Sandiego. You get a cell phone, you get phone numbers and objectives, and it's very educational in a fun way. I loved this game has characters, which I loved. The original doesn't. They do have characters. They don't talk to you, but this is fully voiced. Your cell phone that you get in game, Matt. If you could do me a favor and Google image search Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego Windows. And I'm going to direct you to a screenshot.
Okay.
Let me know. Did you do it?
I'm there.
So you should see a screen with like a cell phone on the left and like a notepad in the bottom right.
Whoa, what the hell?
Yes.
Okay,
you see that? So the setup is super cool. You get like this cool Acme, detective get up. You get your cell phone. Your cell phone has a screen in it where you can talk to characters.
Yes!
You can call CrimeNet. You can call for a warrant. Oh my God. I loved this game. It's so good. It was so good, and that's my favorite in the franchise.
It's got a character named Dazzle Annie Nunker.
That's one of the vile henchmen.
Okay.
It's true.
Hey, you know how you said you can't wait for the new Carmen Sandiego game to come out this year?
Yeah.
What would you say if I told you it came out 2 weeks ago?
I would be uncontrollable screaming.
Okay. Well, then I won't tell you until we are off recording.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. No, I have a soft spot for those games for sure, but definitely Where in the World. There was also a Where in the USA in that same style. So with the cell phone setup with different characters, with a different chief, maybe different vile henchmen too. But yeah, they're great, fully voiced, super fun. If you can get them working, I highly recommend trying it out.
Yeah, I think at some point I need to dive into the whole Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego franchise and, play some of the better games. I know there's some not good ones.
That's true. Like I said, Where in Time is not the best game. It's not. It's very, very difficult. But man, all these games have such a vibe because you are, technically a detective. You're on a case.
Yeah.
So, there's definitely juicy stories surrounding Carmen Sandiego being a copy of somebody else's game. But I will.
Oh my God! Really?
Yes. I will let you. I'll let you go down that rabbit hole.
Okay, maybe if we ever do a Carmen Sandiego episode, I'll bug you for those stories.
Sure.
Okay.
But yeah, love those games. Love Carmen Sandiego.
That's awesome. Do you have anything else to say about Carmen Sandiego before we move on to another email?
No, I think I gushed quite enough about that.
Hell yeah. Okay. So this is an email from Chris from Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
Chris suggests this as a topic for an entire episode.
Okay.
So maybe we'll think about it, but as we'll still answer it here.
Sure.
Off the top of our head. Chris suggests, what would be your dream series to be made into an adventure game?
Oh man, that's a great question. Especially since I love franchised games. To be honest with you,
theirs would be Hey Arnold.
It's a great answer.
And they picture side-strolling, cartoony, slightly pixelated gameplay of Arnold, Gerald, and Helga running around Hillwood, helping various characters out and solving puzzles. I think that would be really, really fun.
I think that's so good.
I think that also tracks with what my general answer to this is. It changes, but it's almost always some sort of Nicktoon.
Yeah.
I've also thought of Hey Arnold. I've thought like Rugrats would be a great adventure game. You're escaping the playpen. You're like trying to solve problems in a world you don't quite understand, like the Rugrats always were.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yes, I'm definitely in line with that and I think we're both in line with that because one of our favorite games is Curse of Monkey Island for you, Broken Sword. I think we have this natural inclination to take those cartoony games and cartoons we loved as a young person and put that into a game. But I wonder what a monkey's adventure game would look like.
Right.
Zany, silly. The setting would be great. Honestly, they live in this insane house in Laurel Canyon, and they're always getting into shenanigans. And I think that as a franchise, that would be so interesting. I would also love, and this might be blasphemous, I would love a crow adventure game. I think there are a couple crow games, but they're not good as far as I know. I would like more of a traditional adventure game. But that being said, I don't know if I would want it, cartoony or not because I don't know. Listen, I want a crow adventure game based on the Crow from the 90s, the movie, not the comic.
I would love an X-Men anything.
Yeah, that's true.
So an X-Men adventure game where you have like a whole team and you solve puzzles with their powers. That would be so much fun. But I'll say this past Halloween, I was reading a collection of M.R. James ghost stories.
Ooh,
and it was right around the time that we played An English Haunting and around the time that we played Dreams in the Witch House, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it got me thinking about the idea of packing two separate ideas, right? One is like, I'm trying to think of an example of a game like this, but a game where the world is built around a bunch of stories by the same person, right? Like, what if you were so many of M.R. James' characters are researching something, and with skepticism as something starts happening to them that they can't explain. And so what if you were the guy from The Ash Tree and the events of A Whistle and I'll Come to You, My Lad started happening to you, and then you had the mezzotint in your hotel room, and then it ends with the events of Lost Hearts happening to you. Like, what if all these stories of M.R. James were just kind of happening to you all at once? Like that. That sort of thing would be so cool. Or you have, say, a menu, like sort of like a Dark Side Detective, right? You have a bunch of short stories and a menu of like chapters, and they're all like loosely connected. But it's just like, now you play this short story. Now you play this short story as an adventure game. Now you play this short story as an adventure game. Like, I don't know. I was thinking about that the whole time I was reading that collection.
Yeah. That kind of sounds similar to Callahan's Crosstime Saloon.
Okay.
Where you are playing different stories per chat. You haven't played that game, have you?
No, I still have not.
I think you would like it. I'll add it to the list of birthday games. We got to beat.
No.
First and foremost, we have to beat Myst.
This is gonna. Oh my god! How are we possibly? We're just not gonna sleep, I guess.
I don't know. I put the pages on the book. I did that, and so I'm good at this.
Okay. Yes.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Thank
Very
you.
Good.
Thank you.
Let me skip through a couple things. Fan Mike says he'll be in Chicago in August and wants to take you up on your offer to buy any listener a shot of Malort while they're in Chicago.
Wow. Listen, I only give Malort to people I don't like. Okay, it's punishment for unsuspecting non-Chicagoans. However, if you do want to try it, I'm not going to stop you. It is a Chicago institution, and most places have it.
It's horrible.
It's pretty. No, it's bad. It has wormwood in it. Okay.
Michelle emailed us to tell us something interesting about the origins of the term adventure game.
Okay.
Which apparently, according to David J. Prokopets, this post doesn't have any citations, so I'm not sure. So I can't vouch for its authenticity, the authenticity of this.
It's speculation.
Claim, but this claim is that the term adventure game started basically as an adventure, like not based on this is a game where you go on an adventure, but a game that is similar to Colossal Cave Adventure, which was often abbreviated, and this is true.
That's true. They just called it adventure a lot of the time.
A lot of times it was called and marketed as just adventure.
Yes.
So you would have an adventure game, which is a game that is like Colossal Cave Adventure.
Honestly, I would think that's very plausible, to be honest.
I would too, especially because of what we learned about adventure game history in other countries.
Sure.
And how it spun off in different directions. In different places. Oh, and somebody wrote us with a very long and very cool email with notes about they did a doctoral dissertation on ancient Mediterranean magic.
Whoa, cool.
And so they had some insights about the excavation of Hobbs Barrow.
Oh, cool.
So Abraxas, the entity in the game, is referred to as Abraxas Rex or King Abraxas.
Yep.
And the color purple has often been associated with kingship, and authority for millennia. So that might be why the theme of purple in that game.
That's true. Yep, that's true. Royalty.
Let's see, what else is based on their expertise?
They signed it with a scholarship is suffering and suffering is art.
Abraxas is Abrasax/Abraxas was not an ancient pre-Roman god. He was actually a product of the later Roman Mediterranean cultural milieu, an attempt to lump together various different barbarian religious entities under one catch-all umbrella. This is much like I'm speaking for me at this point. This is much like what happened to the Norse gods. There was not generally there was not really a Norse pantheon, and there was not a unified Norse religion as we think of, Norse mythology today. It was later cultures, especially as that area was Christianizing, who were trying to find something, what's the word? Relatable in these like barbarian religions, and so just combined a bunch of different stories into, all these are talking about a specific god and his name is Thor. These are talking about a specific god and his name is Odin. And he's Thor's dad, right? Like, so that's interesting that Abraxas is a similar situation. They say a bunch of other stuff that's really cool, but that's for us and not for you guys.
Yeah, that's for us. I want to play Hobbs Barrow again.
I know.
So good.
And I think that'll do it for emails today.
All right. That's awesome. Wow, we had good answers. Go us.
Do you want to do a quick rapid fire recommendations and if we've played these games sort of thing?
Sure. Yeah. Hit me up. We'll do rapid fire. Yeah.
Scarlet Hollow.
No.
Never played. Bookwalker.
No.
Never played. Backfirewall.
No.
Smile for Me.
What the hell are these?
Smile for Me is a game I do know about. Smile for Me. It's been on my Steam wish list for a long time, but I've never actually played it. It looks very... wait, do I own it?
Oh, it looks cool.
Yeah, I actually own it. I own it and I've never played it. It looks very creepy and interesting.
Yeah, it does. I like the art style a whole lot. There's
like mixed media art and I've always thought it looked very cool. I don't know why I've never taken the time to play it.
Yeah.
Road Warden.
No.
I've also never played it. I've heard of Road Warden. I think that's another one I have on my wish list. It is, you know where I first heard about it?
Where?
When we were talking about RPG adventures.
Oh.
It was one of the ones that I found that people speak very highly of.
It actually looks really neat.
It looks really cool.
Yeah.
Legend of Kyrandia 2, Hand of Fate.
Yes, I've played all the Kyrandia games.
I have too, and I do think, I don't know what you think about this, I think Kyrandia 2 is the best of them.
I think I agree with that. Yes, okay. I think I agree. I am not a big fan of the Kyrandia games. I think they are very difficult and maybe even slightly derivative, but they have their place. And I think I would agree that the second is good.
Yeah, I feel the same way. That's also what the email writer Odd said, that they believe Legend of Kyrandia 2 Hand of Fate is a beautiful, fun, and entertaining but underrated gem. Yeah. And they suggest it's the best of the three. And
I think that's a pretty known opinion too, as people gravitate towards Hand of Fate.
Okay, UFO 50.
No.
Do you know about this game?
I don't.
It was released last year, and it is a game that has 50 games in it.
Oh dear.
And they are all styled after like they are all styled after like old retro games. Like as you go forward, you're sort of moving through the history of video games.
That's kind of cute.
And there is one in it that is a point and click game.
Of course there is.
They say it in the email. Let me pull up the email real quick.
Get the email.
Let me pull the email. Tom says Night Manor.
Okay. So like a horror game.
like a horror point and click. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool.
But yeah, I've not had the chance to play UFO 50. It looks really great. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, the one that just came out this past year.
No, but it's on my radar. I've got a few friends playing it and enjoying it for the most part.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I think when Atomfall comes out, the like British answer to Fallout, I think I'm going to purchase Game Pass again, the Xbox Game Pass, and play Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and I'll play what was that Obsidian RPG that just came out that we talked about with Dave Gilbert? Avowed, yes.
Okay,
Wayward Strand.
No, but why does that sound familiar? Did we talk about this?
No, it came out in 2022 by Ghost Pattern. It looks really, really good.
Okay, I will look into it.
Torrens Passage. They know that you played it and didn't like it.
Whoa! Let's not jump to conclusions here. Go on. What did they say? Didn't
really like it, but has Matt played it? I have not played it. I've played a little tiny bit of it on original hardware at the Adventure Game Fanfare. And I don't know. It seems fine.
It's a rough one. It's one of the later Sierra games. Al Lowe, wrote for that one. There are things I like about it, but yes, in the end, I was just like, well, here it is. I thought I gave it a pretty fair review, or comedic review at least. I think I call it like the hidden halite as opposed to like a gem or a diamond from Sierra's catalog.
That's really good.
I do have a memory I would love to share.
Please.
And that is, I had gotten the King's Quest collection when I was young. And this is before the internet had a lot of walkthroughs on it. But what we did have was a hint line, the Sierra hint line, if you want to spend all your money or, well, all your parents' money. And that hint line actually said, when you call it, the very first thing they always said was, for Torrens Passage, dial this, like right away. That's the first thing you heard. So they were clearly trying to advertise Torrens Passage at the time.
Interesting, like a subliminal kind of advertisement, like oh, so many people are calling about Torrens Passage. Yeah. We came up with a dedicated,
yeah, or also, it's trying to take up your time because it's per minute. Sierra also had a write-in hint system where you could write and you would get a letter back from a character. I don't know if anyone knew that. I wish I still kept mine. I asked for a hint in King's Quest 7 and I got a letter back from, quote, Valenice. And I'm like, I wish I still had that. I don't know if anybody did that, but I thought that was super cool.
How about the Star Trek adventure games? 25th Anniversary, Judgment Rights, and Next Generation of Final Unity.
Yeah, I played the 25th Anniversary. It's a very solid adventure game. I'm not the biggest Star Trek person. I liked the Next Generation just fine, and I liked the next one after Next Generation.
I don't know. I've like never watched Star Trek.
Very, very solid adventure game. But what does it remind me of? Space Quest, which is ironic because Space Quest is a parody of all those things.
Yeah. Heaven's Vault.
No, but I know you have.
Yeah, I just played it. It's funny. 2 people wrote in about Heaven's Vault. Oh, nice. And I just finished it and I had some conflicting views about it. So you can check out, I think 2 episodes ago I talk about it, and then our RPG episode I talk about it.
Yeah.
Blazing Dragons.
Oh gosh, I haven't thought about that game in a very long time.
Oh my god, you've played this game?
Yeah, only like very briefly.
Wow.
I haven't thought about it in so long. Holy shit. I think it has some interesting voice acting in it.
I've never heard of this. It looks very interesting.
Yeah,
it looks really crazy. And it was for PlayStation?
Yes, it's for PlayStation. Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Yeah, it has voices by Cheech Marin. Isn't that amazing? Oh my god, you like unlocked a very strange memory for me, writer.
It was also an animated television series before that, huh?
Oh, that I didn't know.
created by Terry Jones and Gavin Scott. Pentiment.
No.
Yes, it's really good. It also shares some themes in common with Name of the Rose.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. A weird synchronicity in this episode. We talk about Pentiment. Pentiment is really good. It's by Obsidian Games, and it is. I guess I guess we should have talked about it in that episode because it's technically an RPG.
You've spoken about it very briefly, so I do know about it, and it looks cool. It looks really interesting.
Yeah, it would take too long to try and start explaining Pentiment here. Like, I don't think I can give a concise little, but. Yeah. Hypnospace Outlaw, which I feel like we get asked about every single time we do a Q&A episode. Yeah.
That game stressed me out. I fully understand why people like that game. There is a nostalgic element to it. There is an abstract, weird element. It gets very surreal. I found it stressful, so I never finished it.
It looks cool. I think I own it. I've never played it.
Yeah.
I will.
You should play it. You should play it.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely one day I will play it.
Yeah.
Okay, we just got a couple more here. Kentucky Route Zero.
No.
I've played like the first chapter, and I liked it. I don't know why it didn't compel me to go back, but I think if I ever do, I will really, really enjoy it. Silent Hill 2.
Oh, those games? No. And no. You kidding me? No.
And Cat Cafe Manager.
Not yet, but boy, do I want to. I'm telling you, I want to run a cat cafe.
Did you know that this game existed before I just said those words?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. It's kind of been on my radar. Every now and then I'll see it on Steam and be like, oh, Cat Cafe Manager.
That's it. That's it for our Q&A, and that's it for our recommendations.
Wow.
All right. Well, that is our episode, Roses.
It was fun. But now we have to go.
Now we have to go. We have to go goodbye. I have to go.
Go goodbye.
I have to go wash out my teapot.
I have to I got nothing to do.
Well, anyway, everyone, thanks for listening. We're an independent podcast, which means the best thing that you could do if you want to support us is just share and review and like and
subscribe.
Get the word out. Subscribe. Get us that's honestly if you like this podcast and you want it to keep going forever and ever and ever, that is the number one way you can make that happen.
Well, I'm dying at age 75 specifically, so it's not going to go forever, I'm afraid.
I'll live till 230, so by the time you're 75, I'm sure the two of us can find a replacement co-host for
we'll see.
Next 160 years.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I will kind of tease a little bit that we're going to be having some great guests up and coming on these next few episodes. So please stay tuned and tune in to that.
Yeah, our next two episodes. People are gonna throw their iPods. That's how people listen to podcasts on iPods. Podcasts. So they're gonna see it they're gonna see it pop up on their iPod. They're gonna throw it across the room in disbelief.
And they're gonna be like, "Shit, I need that." And then they're gonna go.
I gotta listen to that.
Gingerly pick it up.
It's broken, and now they can't listen to it. Now they gotta go to the store, the Apple Store.
Oh, nobody wants that.
And say, I just want to listen to my very good podcast.
My very good podcast.
And you find us on Instagram, Save Your Game Podcast.
Yes. Every time.
And email us about roses@gmail.com. That all being said, I just want to tell you.
Yeah.
It just popped in my head. I was looking into my tea leaves. And I think this might be some sort of sign because this sentence just popped into my head, and I wonder what you think about it. It is podcast is art.
I agree. And do you want to know why I agree?
No. Yeah. Oh, wait. Yes.
Because art is suffer.